You're listening to the Why Boarding School podcast, broadcasting around the world. Join us as we promote independent boarding schools throughout the United States and Canada with our invited guests. Now, here's your host, Dr. Jeffrey Quebec.
Welcome to the Why Boarding School podcast. I'm Jeff Quebec, and today I'm joined by the Dean of Admissions and Financial Aid at the Bolles School in Jacksonville, Florida, Kila McCann. Welcome, Kila. It's great to have you here today.
It's great to be here. I kind of feel like the intro was a little bit like welcome to Smart Less. So, yeah, hopefully it's as entertaining.
Absolutely. So, Kila, with a rich history dating back to its founding in 1913, the Bolles School certainly has unique history, from having originally been a military school for boys up until 1962, and then eventually becoming a coeducational school in 1971. And so perhaps you can start off by giving our audience a brief overview of the number of students at the Bolles School, the grades you offer, and where the students come from.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Bolles is one of those anomalies in the world of boarding schools. I always sort of describe it as a small liberal arts college. We go from pre-K through 12th grade. And we have currently, as of today, you know how those numbers shift in independent school world, 1,756 students. We have weight pools in every grade, so it's sort of managing a little bit of chaos periodically. And we have a very small boarding program of just under 100, getting ready to add about 20 more beds in the upper school, grades 9 through 12. We also span 4 campuses, so it's a little bit of a beast of a school in that aspect. But in Jacksonville, it's a big dog school. So I'm pretty proud to be here, and it's exciting to be a part of something that a lot of people want to be a part of as well.
That's good. That's certainly a great feeling.
Absolutely, yes.
And what is the academic curriculum like at the Bolles School?
Mm-hmm. You know, I would describe it as and again, this is divisional, right? As we look at pre-K through 5, we use a lot of outside curriculum, such as Singapore math and some others. And then as we feed into middle school, we start to have a healthy combination of that experiential and hands-on learning, doing, makerspace areas, all of those sorts of things. And then as we move into upper school, we tend to offer a more traditional program that you would see at many of my peer schools. I think, again, the difference is our size. So when you have a school of our size, that also lends itself to a very large program. And so I always say big school, big program. I think the hardest part about Bolles for some of our students is choice. There's so much going on under one roof, whether it be academic, athletic, artistic, or clubs, leadership, all of those things combined. I think that choice can be one of the more challenging pieces. I would also describe us a little bit as sort of a hit the ground running kind of a school. You know, we're not really the school where you come for a cultural experience. We're really, most of our students will come here because they have an end goal in mind. And you'll certainly see that in the upper school.
Well, certainly having a vast curriculum and having to make some choices is not a bad thing to have.
Exactly. I mean, you know, one of our motto is all things possible, and you know, we joke about that sometimes, but I do think a lot of things are possible here because there's so much choice. If you're a student who's passionate about robotics, you'll find that here. If you're a student who's passionate about performing arts, you will find that here. So the nice part is it's a wide range of programs. We serve a wide range of students. And, you know, most often, even if what we have doesn't, you know, if what they're interested in doesn't meet the curriculum, we can actually even start it because of the size. So we're able to really support a lot of interests, both in and outside of the classroom.
So with regard to serving a wide range of students and offering support, can you talk a little bit about the learning support services that Bolles offers?
Mm-hmm. We have an office. We have an office of learning support that ranges pre-K through 12. So there's a learning support specialist on each of my lower school campuses. There's a learning support office of 2 on the middle school and an office of learning support of 2 on the upper school. And so Most of what we do will fall in the range of extended time, a little bit of executive functioning and organizational skills. I would not say we get too deep into the other aspects of learning support. That's really our focus right now. We have about 120 students campus school-wide who take advantage of those additional supports. They also work in collaboration with our teachers to make sure that we're supporting those students' learning needs so that they can achieve their best success. And for us, that doesn't always mean straight A's, but it does mean they're working hard to pursue excellence in whatever it is that they choose.
Very nice. And so, Kila, to expand upon your curriculum, can you share a little bit about your visual and performing arts offerings at the Bolles School?
I mean, a wide range. There's about 24 different offerings between fine and performing arts. We have a 500-person auditorium on campus. Sometimes we'll do musical performances that range school-wide, pre-K through 12, and also include faculty, which is fun because I'm a big believer in students seeing us in our human form, not in our Dean of Admission costume, but seeing us in a different light. If we're asking students to be brave, then I think it's really healthy for them to see us in that same capacity. So I really like the campus-wide performing arts. But then we also have a few other opportunities that are campus-specific. So again, big program, Jeff, so we could be here all day, but I'll try to keep it to a minimum. At one of our lower school campuses, we do a bi-weekly news broadcast. So it is the highlight of my day to get fifth graders on there doing this sort of thing much better than I do it, drinking a fake coffee and presenting what the weather will be, but also talking about what's available on campus to include, hey, on Friday, we have an upper school football game. We all need to go and be supportive Bulldogs. I mean, it's absolutely professionally done. It's a great opportunity for those fifth graders to shine. We do a winter and a spring play on both of our lower school campuses. We have lots of different cross-curricular aspects between middle and upper school where we combine coding with 3D art. So they're actually doing movable art. I love those cross-curricular opportunities in addition to, everything from watercolor painting to sculpture to playing the flute in the band. So there's a really wide range of opportunities for kids to be brave, try some new things, but also engage deeper in what they find they're passionate about.
That's awesome. So in addition to that, are there any other special sort of signature programs that are offered at Bolles?
Oh my gosh. Well, I mean, the thing that we're most well known from internationally, and this certainly feeds our boarding program well, is swimming. A lot of folks know us for our swimming program. We've had 63 Olympians to date since 1971. We actually have an Olympic Walk of Fame, and we added our first Paralympian this year, so we're quite excited about that. This last Olympics, we had about 7 in the Olympics, to include a couple gold medal winners like Ryan Murphy and Joseph Schooling and others. So it's exciting for us. We actually had a junior Guatemalan swimmer who made the Olympics this year, so we were real excited for her. But also, I would say, if you look at other athletic programs, I mean, lots of folks know us for football as well. We've got folks who play at all different levels beyond Bolles, whether it be professionally, whether they coach professionally, or they're involved in the sport in some other aspect. In addition, we have a very strong global scholar program at our upper school. It is our goal to provide a global perspective for all of our students, pre-K through 12. And so there are certain aspects of the curriculum that have a very strong global focus to them and range in experience. So as of today, actually, a group of fifth graders are gone to Nassau. And that doesn't sound very global, but when you look at all that goes into, space exploration, that's what they're learning about. So it's not just about the technicalities or the fact that it's here in Florida, but they're learning about why this is important and expanding those, mindsets.
That's impressive, especially the accomplishments you just mentioned for both swimming and football. And sort of to expand upon that and speak a little more about the athletics of the Bolles School, is every student required to play a sport? And also, what are some of the athletic offerings that Bolles has in addition to the swimming and the football?
What's interesting about Bolles is no one is required to play a sport. And yet 80% of our student body, specifically in the upper school, does participate in something athletically. As I mentioned, from an upper school perspective, the majority of our students will come to us because they are looking mostly to pursue their sport at a high level. We have won national and state championships in almost every sport that we offer here in Bolles, and we certainly put up a good fight in our off years. So whether it's golf, crew, volleyball, basketball, soccer, swimming, I mean, there's such a wide range. Lacrosse is a big growing sport for us, and we've been very, very competitive in lacrosse in recent years, to include baseball, softball. I mean, you name it, we offer it. We have about 29 different offerings in athletics. The other part is that we look at the developmental side. So we have swimmers, for instance, that start in kindergarten and come all the way up. So they're growing right through our program on both the club side and then into the varsity side. We can do the same thing with crew because we sit right on the St. Johns River. So we have those facilities within our capacity that are very easy to access. But even if you look at football, for instance, students may start that in the lower school, come into the middle school, and then it becomes a nice feeder program into our upper school. So almost all of the athletic offerings at Bolles will start in lower school through a PE program and then filter through.
It's nice that there's an opportunity for everyone.
Absolutely. And again, what I like is because it is such a big program, whether it be athletically or artistically, or if your passion is somewhere else, let's say it's in the technology realm, we just opened a brand new Center for Innovation here on campus. It's a massive building, and we're still trying to figure out what to do with it curricular-wise. However, there's really great makerspace options in there, 3D printers, die-cut machines, so students can really get in there and get their hands dirty and try some new things, whether it be in the photography lab, the video production lab, and even our teachers are now looking and going, wow, I have this great new high-tech classrooms. What do I do with it? And so it's a great place for us to be because I think in some ways our students are leading the charge a little bit and helping us to understand how can we further leverage this brand new shiny space that we have.
Or I could see other teachers looking at across the hall and say, wow, why do I sign up for that class? I'd like to take that class.
Yeah, there was definitely huge excitement when this building was built, and it allowed all of our science, math, and technology folks to move out of some classrooms that we're now renovating and making them a little bit more bigger. And the same happened in this Center for Innovation. Big classrooms, open light, lots of room, and then yeah, absolutely, there's a little bit of, oh, what's he doing over there? And so it's been kind of exciting to watch the teachers as they grow through this facility.
This is great. So we're going to do, Kila, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to learn more about what it's like to be a bulldog at the Bolles School.
Awesome.
Do you have any questions or guests that you'd like to see on an upcoming Why Boarding School podcast? You can contact us directly through our website at whyboardingschool.com. Now, back to our show.
Welcome back to the Why Boarding School podcast. I'm Jeff Quebec, and I'm joined by the Dean of Admissions and Financial Aid at the Bolles School, Kila McCann. Nice to have you here today, Kila. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Excited to be here.
So as we continue our conversation about Bolles, what's a typical school day like at the Bolles School?
Yeah, a typical day, well, it depends. If you're a swimmer, you're starting your day a little bit earlier, or if you're in crew, you're starting your day a little bit earlier. And I that's the highlight of my day because I'm usually up about 6 o'clock and I can see the crew team coming through the fog across the river as I'm drinking my tea in my sunroom. Or when I walk to school, I can see the swimmers, in the pool doing their thing from 5:30 in the morning on. So their life is a little bit different in terms of a typical bulldog day, but in more normal circumstances, students start to sort of filter on campus about 7:30. We start a school day at about 8:15. We rotate through a 7-period class rotation on a block system. And so one of the reasons that we moved to that system was that we didn't want our students to have 7 days of homework in one night. So we wanted them to have, 3 or 4 courses of homework and then another 3 or 4 courses of homework the next night, just to give them a little bit of a break in their day. Because as I said, about 80% of our students are also highly competitive in athletic programs. And so that balance was really important to us. Then at about 3:30, we end the school day, and most of the time they will roll right into either their sport, or they might go to weight training, or they might have an off season, in which case they might just go home, which is also good. Our boarders have either free time or they're filtering into training for their sport, depending on if it's in season or if they're in club. And then at about 7 o'clock, we start a full 2-hour study hall for the dorm students. And then about 9 o'clock, they have some free time. We're celebrating birthdays. We're doing all sorts of the fun stuff that you do in res life that I miss so dearly because I'm not in the dorm anymore. And then at about 10:30, we do lights out. And so we start that whole day all over again the next day.
That's great. And so how about the weekends of the Bolles School? Are there events on campus, activities, trips off campus? What's that look like?
Well, this campus is a little bit like New York City. It never sleeps. I can tell you as someone who lives on campus, I think the football stadium lights are on 24/7. And the nice part is that it's busy all the time, whether we have outside parties using our campus or it's us. There is an athletic competition almost every single night, to include the weekends. So just last Saturday, our girls soccer team and a girls and boys basketball team played. So it was very busy. In addition, we had a track competition, which was an outside competition coming in. So there's always something going on campus. But we also recognize that, we have these 80 boarders who, this is their home. So not only do they go to school here, but this is where they live. And so we try to do activities around Jacksonville that make it feel like home. So whether it's running to Publix to get toothpaste and deodorant, or it's going to the winter festival in a subdivision just down from here called San Marco, where they're making fake snow, because we have to have fake snow in Florida. We try to provide as much opportunity as we can around campus. Jacksonville's a city of just around 1 million. And I tell folks all the time, it's just big enough that you can find different types of food, whether if you want Lebanese food, you'll find it here. If you want good Italian, you'll find it here. But it's also just small enough that if you need to go from A to B and one way is blocked off, there's another way to get there. It has that real small town feel. We tend to take kids to the beach when we're not cold. And cold for us right now is, about 40 at night and about 70 during the day. So we're in the cold season right now. But we'll do things like beach trips. We'll do shopping trips. We have a big Universal Studios trip planned in January for all boarders. Last Saturday, they made s'mores around an open fire pit and sang songs. We have a few dorm folks who are pretty loyal to their college teams. Go Aggies for our swim coach, Jake, who puts it on every time and makes all the dorm kids watch it with him. And I think they're all Aggies fans at this point. So there's always something going on. We also divide our dorms into villages. So much like an advisory system that you might have at other schools, we have the villages. And so those kids are divided into small groups of about 6, and they are attached to a family who does family dinners with them, takes them off campus for various activities, and really involves them into their family and in their living rooms, not just in the common spaces. So 2 weekends ago, one of our dorm parents did a holiday decoration, make your own decoration party. And they had, Christmas carols on, and, we're drinking hot cocoa and making these decorations to take home. So to me, I really like that. Again, I'm a big believer in letting our kids see us in our human form. I tell the kids who look at Bolles all the time, this is not what I look like on a regular basis. I mean, my comfort zone is a ball hat, tank top, and shorts, and walking my dogs. This is a costume I wear during the day because I also live where I work, which is completely abnormal. And so I think it's really important for kids to know, we're human too. And I think that's what makes it the family-like environment.
So those adults you referenced, they pretty much serve as the advisors, it sounds like?
That's right. Yeah, they are all encompassing everything from I had a bad day and I just need a hug to I need to run to an appointment for PT perhaps, or how am I doing in math, and what are the next steps I need to do to help support myself. And so they really help foster that. They're the primary conduit between the parents and the school. And then also, they're in the dorms. So, they're eating dinner with our students, with their families, and their kids are involved and engaged in all aspects of dorm life as well.
So Kila, can you share a little bit with our audience? What is dorm life like at the Bolles School?
Yeah. So if you were to look at a picture of the main campus, that's called Bolles Hall. And so you referenced our history a little bit, Jeff. We actually started as a hotel. And so if you look at our campus, you can actually kind of envision what it might have looked like back in the 20s before the Depression. But that's how it started. And so when you're looking at that main flagship building, the top two floors on each side are the dormitories. The third floor is all boys. The second floor is all girls. And most of the time, there are two to a room, and there are ensuite bathrooms in each room. There's a couple shared restroom facilities as well. There's also laundry capacity on each room. And within the center, there are lounge facilities where they can just be normal, right? And take off the student for a day costume. There's kitchen facilities, there's a ping pong table, there's a weight room, there's a pool table. There's always a great big screen TV with all of the Disney channels and all of those sorts of things. And also, there's also a healthy amount of FIFA going on the weekends. So I think it's a nice balance. We do a lot of birthday celebrations where we incorporate the boys and girls dorms all together, which I think is nice because at some boarding schools that I've worked at, you're isolated to just your dorm celebrating. And in our space, it's everybody. So all of our boarders come together to wish each other happy birthdays or celebrate their accomplishments or graduation. And I really think that that's a nice difference for us just because of our size.
So Kila, you mentioned some of the nice food in the area. So can you share with us a little bit about the food on campus? Are the meals for the boarders they serve sit down? Are they buffet? Are they required? Are they not required? How's that work?
Yep. They're not required. It is buffet. They do eat meals in our dining hall. And our faculty always are in there as well with their own families. I always tell students who are looking at boarding schools, there's a great way to tell if the food is good at a boarding school. And, they always go, oh, well, is it the money you spend? I said, no, if faculty eat there, it's good because I have the capacity to not eat there.
So true.
So always look and see, are the faculty eating there? There's a range of options between gluten-free, vegan, and the more traditional meal offerings. We have a full salad bar. We use Flick as our service, and our students have a lot of input. So they meet directly with our Res Life team, which includes the prefects in that for those dorms, and they are able to give feedback about the food that was offered throughout the week. We also try to look at, because half of our dorm comes from 26 different countries, we try to offer more ethnic or cultural foods that are familiar with input from the parents. One of the nice parts about Bolles too, from a boarding perspective, is that we maintain a WhatsApp group for all of our parents, which I can tell you right now, the educators are like, oh, they can see all sorts of issues with that. I actually love it because what happens is the parents have input as well. Hey, my son said he really liked the chicken fettuccine you made this week. Thank you. Or he really liked the schnitzel and sauerkraut you served. Thanks. As German parents, we appreciate that. And there's also a lot of correspondence that happens there. So our dining hall staff has started publishing the pictures of the meals each night, because you and I both know, Jeff, that, there's always, it's not all rainbows and unicorns all the time, right? So there's always somebody who goes, oh, I don't like the food, it's terrible. And our answer is always, it's terrible all the time? Is it really, though? Do you like the food at home that your mom or dad cooks all the time? Probably not. So, we have those discussions. So I love that the dining hall has started publishing the pictures of the food, because the parents are like, oh my gosh, I'm coming there for dinner. What's going on? In addition, our dining hall also provides snacks within the dorms. So it could be anything from granola bars and orange juice and fruit to, making muffins during exam time. So it really depends on what's happening around campus. The other component is, we have some high caliber athletes in the dorm. So nutrition is a very big part of supporting them, especially our swimmers. And so we want to make sure that we have very good nutritional offerings for our students, so that we're not working against, the fold in terms of their output.
Kyla, you're making me hungry with all this talk about food and good food.
Yeah. It's not a bad place to be. I mean, again, when we have 800 students cycling through our upper school, we've got to have a range of options.
So would you say among the 800 students, is there a typical Bolles School student?
That's a great question, and I've thought about that myself. I do believe that Bolles is one of those special schools that they really have to have some good self-initiative, self-advocacy. I think they, if there was a student who was looking just for the cultural experience, who, wasn't really sure, sort of, they were still learning where their passions were, I'm not sure Bolles would be a great fit for them. I think there's some great boarding schools that I've worked at previously that I'd say, hey, this will be a great fit for you. I think our students, especially our boarders, often have an end goal in mind, right? And likely it's athletic in combination with the academic program focused. And so whether it be, I want to swim in the Olympics, which we don't promote at all, but we have some who that's their goal, to, I want to swim for, University of Texas. I think, as long as there's an end goal, right? I think, and also I would say students who are willing to be brave a little bit and plug in. I have a great student from India who is an artist. So she doesn't play a sport after school, but she has a tribe of friends that share her passion, and she's in the art room all the time. Her dad's a world-renowned sculptor, so the apple doesn't fall far from the tree there. So I think, while I say that athletics is a big part, what I often believe is, I think they have to have a passion outside of the classroom that they want to engage deeper in.
Very nice. So, Kyla, are there any quote unquote cool traditions of the Bolles School that may be perhaps unique from other schools, or maybe perhaps there's that one tradition that you hope always remains part of the school?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think my favorite part, and because we're pre-K through 12, we do flag at the lower school. And so there's a motto that we recite. I don't know it by heart, but it has hand gestures. I absolutely love watching it. And what I love is our Bulldogs who come up pre-K all the way up through 12, and they can still recite it today. And I really think that's a very special tradition for us. And then I would say, on the flip side, when our students graduate, our board chair gives all of our graduates a special coin. And that is to promote philanthropy beyond the classroom. So he said it begins with this coin, and now you're an alum, you've crossed over, and so there's a responsibility to give back to your school and pay it forward for the experiences that you have. And I really like that. I think regardless of whether you're full pay or not, I think I'm a big believer in valuing this experience. I'm a proud owner of a 32 and a 28-year-old. And we talk a lot about the value of what they received and how they pay it forward for others. It's a work of progress at 32 and 28, but I'm a big believer in that. And I think that our kids have to value what they experienced here at Bolles, because I do think schools like ours not everybody has this opportunity. And it has to be valued on some level. Even if at 32 you maybe don't understand it, you probably will once you have children of your own.
I love that message of giving back, and what a better way to present it during the graduation ceremony. That's nice.
Yeah, and from an alum, right? So, he's, probably in his 70s, and he's saying this is really important. We're all giving back in whatever way we can, and maybe it's not always monetarily either. It might be some other aspect, whether it be alumni connections in certain fields, or coming back to share their experience, or even just meeting when they're in town at their college visit. So I think there's many ways to pay it forward, but I do like the coin option.
So Kila, before we speak about the admissions process, is there anything about the Bolles School that we didn't discuss today that you'd like to mention?
Yeah, I think one of the parts, and I know everybody says this, but I really believe seeing is believing for us. It's one of the most beautiful campuses in the United States or Canada. I visited a lot of boarding schools. I've worked in Canada and the U.S. And I worked at a previous school in Georgia that I thought was one of the most beautiful campuses I'd ever stepped foot on. And then I came to Bolles, and it just shines. And I think it's a combination of its location, the backdrop of the St. Johns River. So we're sitting right on a river. And we have the added bonus of right across the river, we have Naval Base Jacksonville right across from us. So every other year we get our own Blue Angel show too, which is right in front of our campus. But I do think it is truly one of the most architecturally beautiful physical campuses that I've ever stepped foot on. And then, obviously it's in Florida, so there's this warmth as you step foot on campus, in addition to the sunshine that we have. Because I tell students, they're the ones who have to live this. Their parents just write the check, but they have to feel good in the pit of their stomach that this is the right decision. And if it's not, don't do it. I mean, go somewhere where you think you can achieve your best success. But I do think that all things are possible here at Bolles just because of the program.
So if someone's interested in the Bolles School, how might they go about starting the admissions process?
Yeah. So I think the first step is always to inquire. Pick up the phone, send us an email, fill out the inquiry form. If filling out the inquiry form just feels like, that's not something that's your thing. I mean, pick up the phone. Let's chat about it. We operate pretty intimately, but also very transparently. We will tell you if we think, your child would be a good fit here and can achieve their best success, or, hey, let me help you find another right fit school. I'm happy to do that. So once they do the formal inquiry, whether it be in any of those aspects, we then will kick in and they'll receive next steps about, the process of consideration, completing the formal application. As I said, the biggest thing is getting on campus. So for us, letting a student shadow, letting them spend the night in the dorm, and really kicking the tires and lifting the carpets and saying, yeah, I could see myself here, or, ooh, this is too big for me. I need to be in a much smaller environment. I think that's good for students to go through. We will match the student with a student ambassador, and they'll go through that shadow day. And then if they are spending the night, they'll have another student ambassador that they'll spend the night with, and we'll make sure that the dorm knows that they're there, that they spend some time with the deans of resident life, and that we're answering all of those questions. In addition, let's say that they're from Thailand and they're looking for us. We are able to give them sort of the visual experience, maybe not the feeling experience, but the visual experience of seeing our campus, speaking with all the parties that would be involved with the child should they be here, and that dorm student to dorm student context. So it's really important as the student goes through that we know why they're looking at Bolles, what's important to them, what's important to the parents, what are the expectations of the school, and then matching that accordingly. I also believe, if I have a family from Italy and I have an Italian student, I try to connect those two parents so that they can talk about their experience, because I really want the family and the student to know what they're getting themselves into. As I said earlier, it's not all rainbows and unicorns, and some days are really hard. And I think it's important for the student to know that there's going to be days that they don't like us and that are bad days. And I tell them all the time, I love where I work, but I don't love it all the time. And that's okay. But how do we support them? How do they ask for help? And also, are the parents good partners with us? I think is equally important in this equation.
And so, Kila, what is the website address for the Bolles School?
www.bolles.org.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, this has been great, Kila. I've enjoyed our conversation and learning more about the Bolles School, but thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you for the opportunity.
Awesome. Kila McCann, Dean of Admissions and Financial Aid at the Bolles School in Jacksonville, Florida.
Thank you for listening to the Why Boarding School podcast. We look forward to you joining us for our next episode. Please remember to subscribe to the Why Boarding School podcast and help us spread the word. Until next time.